What up, fam? This is Preston with the High Cost of Anonymity, and I got my buddy Ricky Dolla Green on the line, and I was inspired, man. I interviewed him on a podcast a while back. He dropped his first single off of his new album, which is called Face Off 2020.
The album is Face Off 2020. Yep.
Face Off 2020.
Well,
Your first single with your daughter, and the name of it is
Here We Go Again.
Here We Go Again. And
yeah,
I kind of got back in leaks. I was like ready for this thing. You were hyping it up. It's dropped. It's, in my terms, what I think, this thing's absolutely exploded. I've had a couple friends that hit me back that said that they really like it. They like the message. And I wanted to get on here with you and let you explain to people, explain to my crew and your crew, like, what's the meaning and purpose behind it? What's the story? What was your goal in putting this single out? And I just want to let the people hear from it from you and learn a little bit more about you. Why don't you tell us about it?
Dude, that's so fire. Like, and I'm glad, dude. I'm so glad that I got somebody like you on the team who's taking an interest, right? Who's willing to have these conversations, because like I said it was Face Off 2020. That's my hashtag that I've adopted, but it's the Face Off EP, right? That's going to be the official name of it. And this is the first single. And dude, like, no, I'm not famous, but bro, for little old me out of my little basement here, for the first drop, like my Spotify numbers right now, I think I've had 41,000 monthly listeners, and that all jumped off on August 6th, bro. Before that, I would be, man, I had maybe
Tell the truth, dog. Tell the truth. What were the numbers like before August 6th to now? Tell the truth.
In June, I had 12 followers on Spotify.
And I was one of them.
Yeah, so 11 not counting you, Preston.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, dude, I'm super pumped, bro, because for it to, like, I was hoping to get this kind of traction by the end of the Face Off EP, and here we are, like 8 days into the drop, bro, and it's crazy, right? So, and I'm glad to have the opportunity to sit and explain everything with, like, for what you're saying, because this is an 8-song project, but every song is going to be is fully independent, right? So yeah. I'm going to release several singles. I haven't decided if I'm going to do 3 or 4. It all depends on the timing, because I do want to get it out by December 31st. That's my drop on the EP, no matter what, right?
Well, here's what I want to know, Ricky. For those people that haven't heard about it, why don't you tell us what it's about and where the inspiration came from?
Dude, so Here We Go Again. When I make music, what we do is we get the instrumental. I say we, me and Kylie did on this one. But so I'll back up. Basically, when I make a song, I hear the instrumental, I vibe to it, and I've been doing this for a long time, man. And I go with what does the music tell me? What is it saying to me, right? That's just what I do. I vibe out. At any given time, I got like 20 in my playlist, blank instrumentals that I'm going through and like just seeing what hits with me, and I write from there, right? So on this one, I'm doing that, and Kylie, I picked Kylie up. So Kylie, for those of you, nobody knows this, right? So Kylie's my niece. She lived here for 5 years. It's my wife's niece. She came from the same environment I did. I came from a broken home, mental health, addiction. So Kylie was growing up in that, and there was a tipping point in that, and mom was in an ambulance. Kylie came home to mom in an ambulance. It wasn't the first time that had happened. And since then, Kylie came to live with us. And that was 5 years ago. So overnight, what's up?
How old is Kylie?
She's 15. So I became I had a teenage daughter like overnight. You know what I mean? Right. So it's been interesting. But the cool part, I was picking her up from, I think, volleyball practice, but she's going through these with me because she loves music too, and we just start vibing to this one, and it's a raspo beat, and we're vibing to it, and I'm like, "What's that say to you?" And she's like, She didn't say it was never your fault. She said it wasn't your fault. That's what she said. It wasn't your fault. And I'm like, dude, like chills. We both got cold chills, and I was like, tell me more, because we connect with our wounds, man. I'm like, tell me more, and she started talking, and I started talking, and it was on, right? And then the next thing that came to me after she said that was, daddy's drinking, mama's off of medicine, right? So the song, that's where it spawned from. That's where it came from. And then it evolved from there, right? So there was the idea, there was the concept to it, there was the instrumental. Um, we went in and did the hook. Once we got the hook down, then it was just about, once I do that, I'm not writing. I turn it on and I push record and I go with whatever happens. And that's what happened. That's what came up.
And so for the listeners, so they understand, just a brief little background in what that song is about. Like you said, you grew up in a broken home. On our longer podcast, you talking about, you know, dad being in and out, mom struggling with mental health. What was a bit of the inspiration behind this story, and why so many people are identifying with it, or maybe why you think they're identifying with it? Because it's a pretty intense and raw story that a lot of people kind of keep behind closed doors, and they never really talk about it.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of that too, because clearly, man, like there's way more engagement on my Spotify than I got like when I post about it on Facebook. It's like there's some, you know, people aren't you know, don't really want to talk about that, right? That's exactly what Face Off is about too. But so I'm coming from this place of, I think Kylie is what triggered the idea that I should come from the eyes of a child, right? But I remember, you know, my parents telling me, hey, don't tell the counselor this at school we're doing this, because they'll come take your ass, they'll take you out of here, right? Like I was told that, right? Because they were doing some inappropriate stuff, and it's the truth. But like if I told somebody what was really going on, they would take me away. Well, that's not normal, right? Like that's not okay. But for us, it was. For me, it was.
What do you think about like some of the lyrics that you think that you feel like really stand out to you, like the hook, you know, daddy's drinking, mama's off her meds again, and maybe a couple other things that stood out, and what really, what you remember about childhood that might, you know, that just really, I don't know, get your emotions going, or what that may have looked like for those people that might be struggling, or just, you know, maybe have that going on in their life. What are some lines that really stood out to you?
That's a good question. I think, like, as an artist, there's an artistry piece to this, and I always try to push myself, and I try to say it without saying it. And a perfect example of that is, he didn't mean to hit me. I should have listened better. Well, that's not right, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the message. That's the attitude and that I take on. Like, I protect my abuser. It's never my abuser's fault, right? So I'm speaking from there without talking about that, right? He didn't mean to hit me. I should have listened better. Daddy's drunk again, right? Mama's off her medicine. So what did I say? I said, another courtroom. Here we go again. Daddy's drinking. Mama's off her medicine. He didn't mean to hit me. I should have listened better. And mama's sick again. A pill would make her feel better. So that was our business, and I should keep a secret. If I ain't keep it, then we get back to where we were. And so that's the point. That's the home. That's the dynamic. I'm a kid. I don't know what's going on. It just keeps on. You know, they said it was over. It felt cool again, right? And then bam, now dad's drunk again. Mom needs more dope, right? I don't really know what that means as a kid. I just know if she gets another pill, she'll feel better. And she tells me that I can't talk about that to anybody, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's important, because that's the voice of the kid. Because the kid, do they have a voice? I don't know.
I think there's an interesting point there, Ricky, and it is, you know, it is traumatic for a kid. It is sad that kids have to go through that and experience that. But I was talking to a friend today about how many people that the way that they parent is a recreation of the trauma that they went through. And how many times, how easy it is to point out how bad a situation is, and almost like paying no mind to maybe the trauma or challenges that they had. Because I even look at myself as a father, and there were things that I saw in my household that I swore I'd never do. I swore I'd never make anybody scared. I wouldn't yell at my wife. I wouldn't spank my kid. And yet, in a pinch, backed into a corner, there I go again, doing things that I'm ashamed and embarrassed of. And maybe there's a large population that go, well, Preston, that's not really that bad. That's just parenting. But I feel the shame and guilt, and just the you know, the discomfort that I have knowing I'm like in a unmanageable, powerless way, acting out that which I swore I would never do. And how many parents are out there struggling themselves? They're parenting in a way, or they're acting in a way, or they're using drugs and alcohol in a way that they swore they'd never do. And they have no, at this moment, they have no hope to get out, which both you and I have experienced getting out.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's fire. And that's also, that's again, we come back to the whole thing behind the Face Off EP, bro, because I'm rapping about it, but I'm also sitting here and talking to you and telling you that absolutely I connect with that, right? Absolutely I relate to that. And that's what, you know, I get to speak to that for them, right? So that there's people in my DM, like, you know, connecting with me that haven't connected before. And it's kind of morphing into that. And I like that. It's an honor, to like get to serve in that way. And that's the point, man. I feel like my life is so awesome, dude. I'm 14 years sober, man. Like from where I came from. And I feel there's an obligation for me to, yeah, I give it back when some random newcomer pulls up on me when I'm in a meeting, right? I give that back.
Sure.
But how small a scale is that, right? How
Yeah.
small a scale is that? Like when, dude, I don't know if you watch the news or read articles, but the overdose numbers are just stupid climbing with this
Yeah.
COVID stuff going on. People are dying, bro. And that's like in the song. So the first part, it came from, I was talking about the kid, right? And then in the second part, I'm talking to myself right there near the end. Like that's how I was behaving, right? I'm addressing me. It's like an accountability piece, right? From a place of love. I wasn't pointing a finger and shaking it and saying shame on you. I was saying, here's what you do, here's what you do, here's what I said we, right? That's the point, because I am them, they are me, right? But I was talking about what we do, how we behave, and what we're doing. And the truth is, we're just scared to death, man. Like I don't know any other way, and I'm terrified. I can't even speak to that, right?
Yeah.
The truth is, I love my kids, but I'm still putting dope before them,
Yeah.
right? And I'm so fortunate that I haven't had to do that, bro. I've been sober since my children have been alive. So, but so in the second verse, that's kind of what the here we go again. I brought it all the way back to here's what this is. And the truth is like exactly what you just said. The truth is we come from broken. Like that's the anchor line for the whole song. To answer your earlier question, is there's all this going on, and the truth is I'm terrified. I don't know how to deal with it. And the truth is that's where I come from. Like I come from broken. And so that's the whole point of that song. And I'm so glad, dude, to get to, because the Face Off EP is the next song is called Why, right? And it's another piece, not even to do with anything we're talking about now, but
Yeah.
another piece, another angle, another view of what that was like for me, right?
And I appreciate giving a little peek behind the curtain, and it's always interesting to hear an artist's perspective, because you and I have talked about this, where when I see art or creativity or whatever, I kind of look at it, I make a judgment, or I have a feeling or whatever. But when I'm able to connect with the artist, when I'm able to hear the story behind the behind the song, behind the art, like it just gets me at such a deeper level. And that's kind of how you and I have
Connected. Yeah.
continue to talk. I'm rooting for you. I really like what you're doing, and I just feel like that your message is something that people need to hear. Number one, trying to make mental health and addiction normalize a bit. In other words, that there's not such a stigma, and that people aren't so embarrassed and ashamed to reach out. But even from the thing that I talk quite a bit about is making getting help, just simple counseling, therapy, maybe some group therapy, some group support work, just trying to make it normal, because so many people are going through the emotions that you're talking about in the song, whether they experience that as a child or they're struggling as a parent, that need a little bit of help. And if they get a little bit of help, and it's okay to ask for help and get a bit of direction, it can change the trajectory of their life, whether it's just for parenting or it's around their own mental health or addiction issues. So what kind of message do you think you can leave with us, moving forward, and what kind of impact you want to have, not only with your music, but moving forward as an advocate, I guess.
Yeah, no, Thank you for that. Cause like really that's what it's all about, man. Like the fact that I get to, dude, I've been making music since 2001. Think about that. Right. And I've made some music about some real ratchet stuff. I used to be a dope fiend and a dope boy. Like I've been, so the music's always represented where I was at in my life. And I've been living this new life, this new committed to breaking that cycle in my family. Right. And even now, to me, man, I'm trying to have an impact on a large scale, right? So I get to use my music, my gifts, my creativity, the art part of myself, and the whole, my soul, the healing, the healed, the recovered part of myself, and I get to bring that together, dude. And I get to be a leader in that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not the only one doing it, but like nobody can tell my story, Preston. Nobody can tell your story, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I'm super excited to get to be able to use my music to make my story louder and have a greater impact, and I get to use my story to make my music louder and have a greater impact. So like the two of these running side by side, concurrent together like that, that's the most beautiful thing that I've got to do as a part of this. And I think that's why Spotify and everything has done what it's done in 8 days, because it's something special, man. You know what I'm saying? Like It really is something special.
Here's what I think is cool too, and sometimes it takes a lifetime, and maybe it takes a lifetime for a lot of people, but how special it is for what you love and what you're passionate about to line up with something like your music, your photography, what you're doing as an entrepreneur, as a family man, because so many people are looking for they're looking for their passion, or they're looking for a way to have like a creative outlet, and so many people struggle in that area, and maybe sometimes they never hit that. But it feels to me that that you've kind of hit that bit of a stride where your love for hip hop and being an artist and a poet is meshing together with recovery and your desire to make an impact and just be a good example. And it's just nice to see, man.
Man, it's so fire, bro. I really appreciate you, Preston.
For sure.
And let's speak to what you're doing real quick too, man, because like your podcast, man, like that's you're doing the same thing I'm doing, right? So like,
I think that you're right in that I've spent so many years wanting to speak, train, coach, teach. I didn't really know what that looked like, but I was always I wanted to take what you were doing and then try to imitate it. In other words, I was always looking for someone that was already speaking, training, coaching, or talking on a particular topic that I wasn't necessarily passionate about, but I wanted to just get up and kind of imitate you. In other words, like not finding, I was insecure. I still struggle with that, but
yeah, me too, bro.
All right. What's really happened over the last year is I changed careers from 8 years in selling flooring to mental health and addiction. Once I got into that field, my creativity just exploded. And I got to a point in my life where I was like, I'm tired of worrying about what it looks like, what people think about me, what my logo looks like, the production quality, having a theme. And I just wanted to start talking. And so that's where the podcast has been going a little over a year. I'm 90-something episodes in. It's a lot of like intimate detail and like my own personal recovery, the things I struggle with, the tools I use, that things aren't always as peachy as what we see on social media. And then I've also started interviewing people that are in recovery, mental health specialists, psychologists, just people that are active in the community, because I want to make counseling, therapy, and support groups like AA and other support groups as common as going to a gym or going to a yoga class. Yeah. Nobody would even think twice, Ricky, that if they want to lose some weight, they go to a gym and they hire a personal trainer and they start going to groups so they can get support. They don't even think twice. But when it comes to insecurity, when it comes to parenting, when it comes to, I really want to progress in my profession, but I can't really find the way. My relationship is good, but it's not really great. Like everybody waits until they're on the fence, until they're absolutely desperate to ask for help. And if I could do anything, it's just normalizing counseling, normalizing support, help making it cool to ask for help and to rely on other people.
Yeah.
Just be better. And so, so anyways, it's fun. And to be honest, you are one of the guys that and one of the reasons that I'm glad I'm doing it. I reached out to you on Instagram. You and I have got a lot in common. We connected. Now you're on the favorites list. I call you for, stuff. You've helped me a lot. And me too. That's like a thing where my interests have aligned with some creative passion, and I've got a year of podcast episodes. It's cool, man. I'm
fire.
I hope it keeps going.
Yeah, it's going to, bro. I was gonna say something. I don't even remember what it was, but that's fire, bro.
I'm sure it was super awesome. But why don't this? Tell our people how to get a hold of you. Where can they find you? Spotify.
I'm most active. What?
Tell them all the places.
Yeah, basically, I'm most active on Facebook and Instagram. If you search dollagreen on Facebook, you're gonna find the main link. The first thing you'll see is the main link where you can get me on every channel. But it's Facebook and then it's dollagreen. So,
and that's DOLLA green.
Yes, that everybody puts a dollar.
Right, bro.
It's not dollar green, right? It's dollagreen. So,
dollagreen.
Your podcast is on Spotify, and is that the main place? Where do people go get that?
Yeah, so you can find me. It's on Instagram. It's K Preston Moore. K as in kettle. K Preston Moore. No spaces. The podcast is The High Cost of Anonymity. You can find it on Apple iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, Google Pods, anywhere you get your podcast. There's about 8 or 10 of them. But The High Cost of Anonymity, where we cover all things mental health, addiction, personal development, parenting, how to be a good human. And hopefully you can hear something that you identify that encourages you to reach out for help and just improve. So check it out.
Yeah, let's go, man. And so I'm going to put you on blast right here publicly. So are you going to help me document each one of these songs and talk about the story that comes with them?
That's right, man. That's what's up. It's the Dolla Green series for Face Off EP.
EP. That's what I'm talking about. Good. So you heard it. There you go. He's committed, right? You can't back out now.
Yeah,
so
I'm looking forward to it, man. I appreciate you.
All right, bro.